Hey everyone, it's Habiba. Welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. I hope you're all doing so well. Happy 2022. I'm so happy for this year. First off, I'd like to start by expressing my condolences to all the victims of the Bronx fire in New York, all their families, all those who have died. It's just such a tragedy. Really, really so heartbreaking. So my condolences to everyone, and I hope as a society we can do better when it comes to housing. All right, so in this video, what I want to do is share with you some of my top lessons from 2021, what I learned that year, so going out of 2021, moving into 2022, what I've learned, and what some of my aspirations are for the new year. Lesson number 1, listen to your spirit. So if your spirit gives you a message, listen to it and act. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we all get messages, perhaps in the form of dreams. We get signs. Sometimes different signs show up in our life. I know I get these signs. Sometimes I get a message to do something. But sometimes I don't act because, when I get the message, I say, well, okay, yes, I'll do that, but not at this time, because in the way I've planned it out in my mind, the way I've mapped it out, it's first I do this, then I do that. So I have it all mapped out like 1, 2, 3, 4. But then sometimes I get a message from my spirit and it's saying, do it now, It might give me the message, say today, this morning, I might get the message. And then I say, well, in my mind, I was planning to do that a month from now. And so moving into 2022, that's something I'm going to stop doing. When I get a message from my spirit, I'm going to act on it. I'm not going to hesitate. Because sometimes if you get the guidance or if you get a message to do something, you need to do it while it's still fresh. You need to, when you get the message, you have to act on it in the moment. Because sometimes if you don't act on it when you get the message, it may no longer be relevant when you decide to act on it. So that's a very important lesson I'm taking out of 2021. Listen to your spirit, and when it gives you a message, act. Don't hesitate. Lesson number 2, cultivate happiness every day and soothe yourself. This one is very important, and the past couple of years, 2020 and then last year 2021 really underscored to me just how important this one is with all that's been happening in the world, all the tragedies we've witnessed, the murder of George Floyd, may his soul rest in peace, this pandemic, all the madness that's been happening in our world. This one has become so important to me, to cultivate happiness every day, because there's so much tragedy around us, there's so much pain, there's so much suffering, sometimes in our own individual lives, and then sometimes in wider society, and we are a part of wider society. So we cannot disconnect ourselves from the pain and the tragedy that happens around us. Even if it's not impacting us directly, it still impacts us somehow. So these past couple of years, it's something that I've been reflecting on a lot, something that's been on my mind. How do I cultivate happiness every single day? And I think back to the murder of George Floyd at that time, how sad I was, how depressed I was, as were many people around the world, and many Black people in particular, because for many of us it just underscored this reality of anti-Black racism, how it permeates our day-to-day lives, etc., etc. And I remember the news reports, I found them so overwhelming, just hearing the news about it and everything that was happening. Janjo, America Janjo, Farafina Janjo, Urap Janjo. Okay. So to deal with some of my own trauma from, that event, that incident, his murder, I found myself, when I got home in the afternoons and the evenings, really having to tune out, really having to, whether shut off the TV or go to my room, do reading, listen to some good music, but really just sort of go inwards, go into myself, ground myself. And it also made me realize how delicate this thing called happiness or well-being, how delicate it can be. Sometimes one moment things are good, you're feeling a certain way, and then boom, something can come in, some kind of catastrophic event, and wreak havoc in your life. And then again, thinking back to his murder and everything that ensued, the protests, the everything, companies reconsidering their relationship to Black people, to the Black community, companies looking at all kinds of things within their community, within their company structure, staffing, race relations, all that kind of thing. It caused this global movement, this sort of global shift. But for myself, it really made me realize just how pervasive all of this anti-Black racism thing is, and how right when you step out of your house in the morning, right when you step out of, your space, your comfort zone, your sanctuary, whatever, all that you've done, I guess, to build yourself up or to make yourself happy or whatever, it can be challenged, right? So it's so important, I think, every day to have certain things that we do, certain practices to really cultivate happiness for ourselves, because the external world will always be there to challenge it, to try and bring you down, to try and break you. So, very important lesson I'm taking out of 2021, cultivate happiness every day, and soothe yourself, and one thing I know about myself that I've learned very well is that the sun makes me very happy. I have a need for sun, okay? And where I'm living at the moment, there's not very much sun, especially in the current climate. It's winter. So we're having very cold winters, chilling, bitter cold, So that's one thing that gets to me a lot, the seasonal thing. And so anyway, on the days when we do have sun, I really take advantage of it. I go out for walks. I'm in the sun right now. Actually, it's really nice. The sun is streaming in through my window, so I love this, just trying to soak up as much sunlight, getting a good dose of vitamin D. But I find it really lifts my mood so much. Being in the sun, it lifts my mood, it lifts my spirit, it recharges me, it soothes me, it makes me happy. That's it. So this is one thing that I do to cultivate my happiness. I try to be in the sun as much as I can, even though, like I said, here it's limited. Another thing I realize about myself is that I have a need to be creative, and maybe some of you can relate. And I find that, when my creative juices aren't flowing, I feel kind of miserable. I feel kind of stuck. I feel like, I need to be creating something. I need to be writing something. I need to be doing some media-related projects. I like doing video editing, graphic things here and there. When I have time, when I have time to do it, it's really fun. I really get into it and I really love it. But then, sometimes we get bogged down by all the other things we have to do in our life, work, whatever else it is, like just day-to-day errands, chores, blah, blah, blah. And so then sometimes by the time you have any free moment for yourself, you kind of just like, you want to sleep or you want to, I don't know. But one thing I find for myself to cultivate happiness is that I have a need to be creative. So these are two things I've learned about myself. The sun, I need to be in the sun, and I have a need to be creative, to be working on some kind of creative project. It really lifts my mood so much. It gives me hope. It inspires me. So another important lesson coming out of 2021. Lesson number 3: bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. And this one is so important, and this one has been so important for me this past year, and it's something that I'm reminding myself every day. Look, the enemies of your soul are real. There are people out there who are there to break you, who are there to bring you down. If they see you trying to go after something, if they see you trying to, pursue your hustle, there are those who will try to bring you down. And sometimes they're in our very close circle. They can be our friends, frenemies. So sometimes it's in our friendship group, sometimes it's in our family, sometimes it's in the workplace, sometimes wherever. And once you recognize who they are, count this as a blessing. It's a huge blessing, because sometimes we have people so close to us, we can't even really see who they are because they're so close to us. And it's always those who are closest to you who can hurt you the most, because they have the most access to your life. They have the most information about you. So if they don't have your best interest at heart, it can be really so dangerous and really so damaging, because they have a key to your life, basically. They're so close to you, right? And so the past 2 years, I've gotten just like a huge lesson in that from people. Anyway, the point being, when you recognize them, this is a huge, huge, huge blessing. Create a distance. Hopefully, if it's something not too dramatic, you can create a distance, and then they'll just sort of fade out of your life. You'll just sort of fade out of their life. It won't be any kind of dramatic blow up where, like, you know, it's nasty and all kinds of things. You know, so hopefully it can be one of two. Hopefully it can be the less dramatic one. You just sort of recognize something, or you get a message from the spirit, like I was saying earlier, and then you just create a distance, and then slowly or quickly, you know, that distance will just sort of pull you guys apart. You'll remove yourself from them. They'll remove themselves from you, and this is a great thing. Sometimes we get this lesson the hard way. Sometimes it's very dramatic. I know, yeah, I've had it the hard way, where like you have to realize in a very dramatic way, and then it's kind of like boom, and it's like blows up, very nasty, all of this, and then you kind of have to just cut them off. So yeah, and yeah, and bounce back from this, because it can really weigh on you mentally. Your mind can play games with you when you have this kind of thing, you know, when you have people entering your life, or people who have been in your life and you really thought they were for you, you know, you really thought it was like, anyway, and then you learn they're not for you, sort of thing. Yeah, and then they can do something to snake you, to like sort of, you know, to snake you, to harm you. Yeah, to harm you, because like I said, they know so much about you, right? So they're in your emotional space, they're in your physical space, they're coming to your house, or you're going to their house. And then anyway, once you realize, nah, they're an enemy, and you sort of let them go, it can be so hard. And if there was damage done, like if they did something to deliberately hurt you, that can be really hard too. And your mind will keep going back, why did it have to happen like that? You'll keep replaying everything in your head, and it can really weigh on you mentally. It can really weigh on your self-esteem. Look, everyone, you know, I've been there. I know how it feels. And this past year, and this is something I told myself, 2022, I'm not going into 2022 with that, with those feelings, with those emotions, I'm just trying to see what the sun is creating, like a, okay, so, so yeah, you know, so I just, every time I enter my home in the evening or whatever, and I shut the door, I say, yeah, and I'm shutting all of that with it too, with the door, you know, all of that stays behind. So bounce back, bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. And it's something you have to remind yourself every day, and you have to, you know, do work every day. You know, sometimes it's a daily thing. It's not, you tell yourself you're going to do it and it just happens overnight. It can. Perhaps it can, you know, depending on where you are mentally. And if you're super mentally strong, perhaps it can. But sometimes you have to work at it day by day and remind yourself you're not going back there.